Hello there, you beautiful friends and RC family. My name is Alec from High Noon Hobbies. If you're new to this channel, I very much appreciate you checking it out. I hope you will stick around, see if this content seems worth your while, and consider subscribing so that then I can say to you, if you aren't new here, welcome back to yet another Friday upload. This time we are diving straight into the top 5 out here at Desert Mountain for the Class 2 finals for the North vs. South Utah RC Crawling Championship 2023. Last couple weeks we have been covering just some regular course driving through these very interesting courses out here at Desert Mountain. Lots of fantastic trucks showing off inline and on the hard lines. These guys are coming out to really lay it all down and see who comes out on top. And now we're here to see who comes out on top ourselves. We're going to be taking a look at the top 5. But before we do, we have to have our regularly scheduled crazy Utah weather. For the last few months, or at least maybe the last month and a half now, we have been having super intense afternoon storms, and we thought we might be safe from it out at Desert Mountain, but we certainly weren't. Let's take a look at our competitors, though. We've got in the top 5 for Class 2, Cletus from up north. Representing BOC Crawlers, we've got the one and only Mike T from West Valley Hobbies, coming back out of retirement to see if he can teach these kids a thing or two about crawling on rocks. We've got Zach C from up north as well, representing the Rock Pirates as a Rock Pirates team driver, driving the Kraken Pro build, the new flat rail chassis that Rock Pirates just released. We've got Preston A from down south, an excellent driver, kind of new to the scene, but you certainly wouldn't guess it based off of his driving skills. And we've got Dan M from down south as well, and he is rocking one crazy rig, which you guys will be seeing here shortly. But a very interesting looking rig, and certainly one that has plenty of performance hidden under the hood. But the hail has passed, and now we are all headed over to a different section of the Desert Mountain, which is a fantastic crawling area with endless lines, really providing tons of variety for us to set up some really interesting courses. We survived that small hailstorm, and now we are on the rocks to take a look at these top 5 competitors and see how they shake out. Now, the way that the standings are going to work is the same way that the standings worked last season. This is something that I don't know that I covered on the channel, but instead of it just being the top 5 contenders going against one another and only the top 5 runs counting, instead of that, it is essentially the top 5 contenders here are going head-to-head against one another on this course, but it's actually the scores from this course are being added into their scores for the day, so the other 2 Class 2 courses that they hit, and that total score there will be what determines who comes out on top. So those totaled scores will be the final determination as to the top 5. We'll take those same top 5 contenders, and however they shake out after this run, combining this run with their other 2 runs, that will be the final, or the final scores. Now, Gate 1, not particularly difficult, but setting you up in kind of a nasty way for that gate number 2, that down cone. You can see Cletus had a tough time with that descent, potentially could have reversed down that hill, maybe would have had a better outcome. Looked like he was pretty front heavy as he was coming down through there. Setting up for gate number 3, this is a toughie as well. Very skinny crack to deal with, and if you will notice on that driver side, that left-hand side, we've got a boundary line there, and that boundary line is going to count for the same number of points that hitting a gate would. Once you hit the boundary line, it is dead, and you can run over it and do whatever you want. You will only get penalized for hitting the boundary line once, but that is definitely causing some issues for Cletus here as he tries to set himself up for gate 4. He got through gate number 3 without much issue. Even though it was a toughie to set up for, he made it look like a piece of cake, but now we're in a situation where he just can't quite get set up for that gate number 4. Unfortunately, on his second reverse there, he ends up upside down, and in doing so, he slaps that boundary line and gets a little skillywampus there. Getting that plus 10 points, bringing him up to a plus 22 total on this run, but the nice thing about tapping that boundary is once you do, like I said, it is dead, and he's able to just take that straight on approach to gate number 4, a very easy or relatively easy approach through that gate. Really, that boundary line is what makes that gate 4 so difficult. Headed into this next gate here, a series of rocks to kind of hop your way up to get to a nasty gap that you have to stem. And you may notice as you're watching through this video, the wind here is actually fairly atrocious. We obviously just had that storm front roll in. We've still got little patches of storm all around us, and as they dump their water, they are also releasing some low pressure, which is causing the winds to pick up. And up here on this ridge right here, particularly through this gate, hey Logan, it's good to see you there, but particularly through this ridge section here, you're just getting blown around all over the place, and these lighter rigs, these lighter competition rigs, are really having a tough time with it. You can see Cletus getting knocked all the way off of the ridge and back down to the bottom, trying to save himself a couple of different times, but he just manages to flick himself down the hill just a little bit further. Luckily, he's able to sneak his way past that previous gate, and I believe that was gate 2 that he actually just snuck past. Now we're going to try to head back into, and I apologize, this is actually gate number 5 here. So heading into gate number 5, and once again, taking that outside approach, probably not the best idea. Quite a gnarly breakover angle to try to make your way over, but the camera probably doesn't do it justice. From the angle that he's approaching, trying to get himself set up in the same position that he was coming out of gate number 4 is going to be quite a doozy. And you can see his solution for that is actually taking a reverse and pushing his way back over through this grass, luckily making it through that grass without too much issue so that he can be set back up in the same spot that he was initially. He is still taking it a bit farther to the passenger side than he did the first time, and that shows here. But what also shows is just how planted that rig is. That was absolutely incredible. If you didn't notice that, definitely go back and watch that a second time. But that truck picks up entirely, almost ends up on the rear bumper, and still settles back down on all 4. What an incredibly dialed rig. Well job, Cletus, on that. Now he's finding that line, definitely a far driver side line, and you got to give her the beans to get through there. Makes it through without any issue. Well done on that one. That you'll see in some future runs is going to be kind of a dynamic area on this course, so definitely keep that in mind going forward. Headed through gate number 6, that one a gnarly breakover angle, but no problem for this BOC chassis, having no issue getting through there. And then kind of a tight turn into 7. Really, 7 not too difficult of a gate to get through without tapping it, but a gnarly descent nonetheless that kind of leads you into a bit of a pit of doom. Cletus, working with what he's got here, unfortunately taps that cone. I don't think he realizes until right now. Someone tells him that he tapped that gate, and now he's just going to try to work his way past it as quickly as possible to conserve as much time as possible. But didn't hit gate 8 coming down off of gate 7, but he did take a tumble, and then he kind of committed to the angle that he was at after that tumble out of gate 7, and unfortunately that set him up poorly for gate number 8, and he ended up on his side. Taking a little tumble himself there. Luckily the driver is okay. Time still running forward though, and he gets through gate number 8, or I'm sorry, gate number 9 without he almost got through there without issue, and then at the very last second, that little rock on the driver's side seemed to have grabbed a link and pushed him into onto the passenger side there and tapped that gate. Quite unfortunate. Looked like a clean run up to that gate, so that is very unfortunate that that happened. It seemed like he was going to make it through there clean, and yet it took him for a ride. Now, the two bonuses for this course are actually at the very end. So Cletus is taking a look at his time now. You can see he doesn't have much time left. He ends up taking a turnaround. You can see one of the bonus gates right there behind Cameron, just to the right of Cameron. And unfortunately, Cletus here actually ends up loosening his slipper clutch to the point where he loses forward and reverse entirely. So he's still got his power going to his servo, steering servo, but unfortunately loses that ability to go forward and has to take that DNF, ending up with a plus 48 at a 6:41.36. That's another thing I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning of this video, but we are doing 7-minute time limits here on this course instead of the standard 6-minute time limit that we've been running for the rest of the year. Reason being, we just wanted to let these guys really showcase their crawling skills and put them under a little bit less pressure when it comes to time so that they're able to make it through as much of this course as possible. As mentioned previously as well, this is still one of the most, if not the most difficult courses we have seen all season, and being so, we decided that giving the drivers one extra minute was probably for the best. Now, second in line here is Mike Thompson from West Valley Hobby, shaking off the cobwebs and getting back into the comp crawling scene. It's been a few years since Mike has been in comp crawling competition, but you wouldn't be able to tell based off of his excellent driving skills. He really hasn't lost anything in the little retirement process. But as always, a High Noon Hobby Classic coming in a little bit late to this run. I've added a few extra seconds just to try to get as close as possible to the judge's timer. Really unfortunate there. Mike set up pretty well for that gate number 3 and just manages to tap that lower arrow cone as he's going through. If you look back at that one, really, I mean, it seemed like the rock just didn't want him to get that gate clean, just pushed him off right at the very last second. And he just barely tapped that arrow cone going through 3. Having the same issues here now as Cletus was having going through gate number 4, trying to avoid that boundary line on the driver's side and just having quite a difficult time. In real time, Mike here was kind of complaining about his steering servo not having enough beans to get through, and that's going to, well, there's going to be an explanation for that here in just a moment, but ends up flipping around, hitting the boundary line, basically the same thing that happened to Cletus there. I'm sure that's definitely making Cletus feel a little bit better about that scenario, knowing that he's still in the running even after hitting that boundary line has got to be something, a little bit of a, not necessarily consolation, but just a little bit of comfort knowing that such a capable driver such as Mike is making that same mistake. Cletus certainly has proved his value and his abilities as a driver throughout this season, consistently finishing very close to the top of the standings and really just being low-key about it. But here is where we're realizing why Mike may have been losing a little bit of power going through that servo. We actually hit lipo right there. That was not a reverse, and we judged that based off of the replay there, noticing that Mike was still on the trigger, pressing forward on the trigger, but managed to roll backwards ever so slightly when that lipo ran out. We're not going to give him a reverse on that one, but he is now kind of trying to determine what he's going to do next. Time's still running, so he's going to take an on-course repair here and get that lipo put in. He's got a second lipo in his pocket, and as a contender, I would highly recommend that if you are competing in 10-gate competition, always have a spare battery in your pocket. You never know what's going to happen, and I've seen this be kind of the saving grace of multiple drivers throughout this season and last season. Mike carrying a second battery in his pocket is able to swap it off, or swap it in with just an on-course repair. Obviously, time's still going down, so he's really trying to make quick work of it, and he makes it through that repair. And you can see now we've got forward momentum back, meaning that that must have been the problem causing that drag brake to give out. So now we are headed into what became quite a doozy for Cletus here. Cletus had to, or ended up tumbling down the hill a couple times when trying to make this ridge. But now that Mike's got the beta, let's see, it makes it look easy. As long as you take that far driver's side approach through that gap, you can see there, that's a nasty looking gap, but as long as you take that far driver's side, it is just barely enough to get that bite on the driver's side tire as it comes through. I'm sorry, the passenger side tire as it comes through, and then pull that driver's side tire on the front through with that passenger hook. Same thing happening to Mike there on gate number 7. He makes the descent, gets through the gate just fine, but then once he's at that breakover angle, it's just such a disgusting breakover angle that he ends up flipping. And unfortunately, in this case, Mike flipping to a point where he has to take an upright for the +5, making a total of +10 just in the last few seconds here, based off of that lipo having to take the on-course repair for a +5 and then that upright for a +5, which is certainly unfortunate, especially in a top 5 scenario, but you do what you got to do to get through the course as far as possible. This gate number 8, a bit of a doozy for Mike, really not because of anything besides just the window on his body. He's got window cutouts, and it looks like just the ledge of one of his window cutouts ended up catching on that rock on the passenger side and giving him a bit of an issue. Nothing that he couldn't just servo wiggle his way through, and luckily with that new battery, not much of a problem whatsoever. Headed into gate number 9 here. Learning again from Cletus on that one, gives it the beans as he gets that front end through to make sure that he doesn't drag the rear and potentially hit one of those gates. Now we're going to take a quick pause as Mike kind of stops driving and decides to assess. He knows how much time he's got left. Now he's trying to assess if he can use that time to get through these 2 bonuses here. We've got one bonus Luke just replaced the cone for. That's just behind where Luke is standing, and then you've got another bonus right about where Mike is standing up there on top, and we're going to see if he goes for one and or both of these bonuses or decides it's not worth it and aborts and just uses that extra time at the end there to potentially give himself some padding if it does come down to time. Mike is sitting here kind of assessing this bonus gate, and the cone for the far side of that bonus gate is down on the lower section, so Mike is really just trying to clarify there what counts as a progress through that bonus gate. Does he need to kind of make solid contact on the lower section, or can he just use this upper section here and squeeze his way through up top? We're going to see, it seems like that is his plan. We're going to see if it works out for him here. He's going to use this upper section, this upper rock section, and just try to squeeze his way through. Gives it a little bit of beans as he's coming through, makes the bonus clean, bringing his score down to a 23, and now he just has to work his way out of this area and make his way to gate 10. Time is coming down to a crunch, though. We're down to about 30 seconds left. Mike taking the same approach out as he did on the way down, trying to set himself up now for gate number 10. Coming in a little bit wide, decides to take a reverse to see if he can't set himself up a little bit better for it. Looks like a better approach this time around, but time is now really starting to crunch. We got 15 seconds left, and unfortunately, Mike's going to come through here, tap that number 10, ending with a +34 to 6:49.29. All right, folks, that is all I have for you on this part 1 of our 2-part coverage of the top 5 contenders in Class 2 for the North vs. South Utah RC Crawling Championships 2023. Make sure you tune in next week for part 2, where we will finalize our coverage of the Class 2 top 5, see who comes out on top, see who the top 3 podium positions are, and then work our way on over to Class 3, and then finally over to MOA. I hope that you all enjoyed this video. I hope that, like me, you learned something from watching these awesome drivers drive. I know that I certainly did this time. Watching these top 5 contenders is quite impressive to see what these guys are capable of. This is no easy course. In fact, this is the most difficult course we have seen all season, as it should be for the top 5 shootout. But that being said, these guys really laid down some fantastic lines, and I'm looking forward to enjoying the top the next 3 contenders in the top 5 in that part 2. So definitely join us then. If you have any thoughts, definitely make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. I really enjoy hearing your feedback, input for new video ideas, or just generally what you think about the driving or my commentary or whatever else you have on your mind. If you enjoyed this video, you did make it to the end, and I appreciate that, but go ahead and give this one a like. If you did enjoy it, it lets me know that I'm doing something right. And don't forget to subscribe to High Noon Hobby for more content like this every single week. All right, folks, we will see you in the next one. Until then, enjoy some scale trail and maybe some hard lines. Oh, and a big shout out to Gene. Congratulations, Gene, for winning the 3K subscriber giveaway. We've reached out to you via email. I've actually already got Gene's address, and I will be sending out that care package very soon. In fact, by the time this video comes out, probably will have already been sent to you, Gene, so be looking out for that very soon. But don't worry, if you didn't win this time, you will still have plenty of opportunities in the future, assuming that this channel continues to grow, because every time we hit a milestone, we will be doing a giveaway. Next one is going to be the 4,000 subscriber giveaway, which we are well on our way for. So if you want to speed that process up, subscribe to High Noon Hobby, and yeah, until the next time, enjoy some scale trails, maybe some hard lines, and we'll see you out on the rocks. Cheers.